If you look at the world, we're actually in trouble because of the way we eat. Reading about this, gaining more knowledge, really made me think about what can I do as a chef, because food revolves around so many of these great challenges we face that it's actually quite interesting to be a chef in this time and age. My name is Emily van Staak. We are here today in restaurant De Nieuwe Winkel. We created a restaurant focusing only on plants, so there's no animal protein in our kitchen. 12 years ago we started with the mantra more plants, less animals. So we were not a vegan restaurant when we started. If you walk that path long enough, you end up becoming a plant-based restaurant that we are today. Within the context of top gastronomy, it's quite challenging to get to the same point as we are familiar with. For example, you take a piece of ribeye and you roast it on both sides a couple of minutes. The result is astonishing. You can actually achieve the same with plants, but it takes more time and effort, different techniques making a similar result. But it's possible. Rehydration was one of the first things that we discovered. When you overcook a vegetable and then you dry it, and then you rehydrate it, you get a completely different product. And then you get these chewy results that is quite similar to eating meat. One of the other big elements in our plant-based kitchen is the use of precision fermentation, or fermentation in general, meaning that you use specific bacteria, molds or yeasts to create the complex flavors that you are looking for. The kitchen that we have, we call it botanical gastronomy. Botanical gastronomy is about plants and finding new applications, and it's also finding plants that we are not familiar with that are also edible. When you look at the supermarket shelves year-round, maybe 10 different plants dominate them. There's so much more to discover in the plant kingdom. Meeting a lazy farmer was needed to become the #1 vegetable restaurant in the world. And this lazy farmer was Wouter van Eck, and he's the initiator of the food forest Ketelbroek. A food forest is an innovative way of doing agriculture. It always stays green, even when it's dry. It grows in volume every year without any inputs, and the soil gets more fertile. He did not only look at what grows in the Netherlands, but he also recognized that when you look around the world to places with a similar climate, what grows there probably grows here as well. So you can actually look in Korea, Japan, Chile. So his botanical collection grew to over 450 different edible plants. And I need this collection to create this diverse menu. And then we got silverberries from Siberia, lemons from Mongolia, bamboo, different nuts, shipova pear with the flavor of marzipan. It's like, it's an endless collection. We were in the food forest, nutting the Chinese mahogany, which is a beautiful tree with feathered leaves that have the taste quite similar to onion soup. So while doing it, this amazing aroma occurred, and that raised the question, what if we would create a broth out of the wood of this tree? And so we did. It took us 6 months to figure out time and temperature in relation to each other to get something that's not bitter. And then we ended up with something that had a flavor similar to chicken broth. In gastronomy we have a model that starts with a main component, some garnishes and sauce, and the main component is usually meat or fish. I think the next step in this evolution would be to create dishes with a completely new approach. Currently on the menu, for example, is our nukazuke, which is a traditional technique of pickling. And when you look at that dish, it is a complete new approach to assembling. That shows that time and effort actually can impress guests as well. We have to recognize that the planet is in crisis, and we have to recognize that many of the challenges we face revolve around food. And we are professionals in the food industry, and we can actually make a difference. And the question is, are you going to cook the next 18th century recipe? Are you going to be famous because of creating the perfect tuna dough rossini? Or are you going to be on the other side, trying to find a way in a more sustainable direction, trying to transform your kitchen from animal protein to a more plant-based approach, and being part of a movement, a transformation for the future? And that's the main question in play here. How big is your ambition? How big is your moral ambition?